it's Andrea. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my asexual life journey, all to help you and yours. If you haven't already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button right here, right now, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an episode. So, I'm going to be doing a review of going to Disneyland Paris, the pros and cons of going there in the winter months, because there are differences between the summer and winter months. And this is based on my trip to Disneyland Paris from the 23rd of January 2024 to the 27th of January 2024. I also stayed one night over in London before I went to Disneyland Paris on the 22nd of January, and I stayed in London on the 27th and 28th of January after arriving back from Disneyland Paris. If you're new to this channel, I talk about asexual educational things, such as, like what makes asexual more confident. I talk about asexuality in general, the different types of asexuality, and I talk about my asexual life. And I think it's important to share my own asexual life journey so you can see how asexuality works in real life contexts. So I'm the author of Asexual Perspectives book, which is out on Amazon's best-selling book. So let's crack on with today's show. So yeah, in Disneyland Paris, I didn't realize that in the winter months, the parks shut early. So in Disneyland Paris, you've got Walt Disney Studios and you've got the Disneyland park itself. So you've got like two things in one within Disneyland Paris. Now, when I went last year, it was May 2023, the park was open for a magic hour between 8 and 9 a.m. if you stayed in one of the Disneyland Paris resort hotels, which I did, the Hotel Santa Fe last year. And so your magic hour, you get an extra hour in the park if you're actually in one of the hotels in Disneyland, compared to if you stay in a hotel off-site somewhere else. Also, the parks are open like 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. at night. And so it's or later. So, like basically by the time the Disney Dream Show is finished in the summer, you're talking like 11:30 or later in Disneyland Park. So what happened when I went in May last year is they had like a drone show over in the Walt Disney Studios, which I think started at 10 and then finished about 20 past 10 or half 10, something like that. So by half 10, then you were leaving that and you were going over to Disneyland, Disney Park, and you were going to the show there, the Disney Dream Show at 11 p.m. So you go from one show to the other show. And so therefore, the Disneyland Paris part would Disneyland Studios, if you like, Disneyland Park, if you like. So you got Walt Disney Studios and Disneyland Park. The Walt Disney Studios shut around 10, and then you had their show there, and then you would go over to the Disney Park part of Disneyland Paris, and you would see the Disney Dream Show at 11. So by the time everything had finished, it was about 11:30, 11:40. Then you catch the bus back to your hotel. And I'd arrived back just around midnight, 5 past midnight, something like that. So there was plenty of time to be in the park. It was full on days and it was really enjoyable. The problem with going in the winter months, I found out when I went last month in January, is that you get a lot less time in the park. The magic hour, if you stay on site, which is a hotel in Disneyland Paris, which I did, then it's from that magic hour goes up later, half an hour later. So instead of it being 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., it's actually 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. So it's half an hour less. And the shows and the parks close, finish earlier. So the Walt Disney Studios shut at 7 p.m. and the Disneyland Paris, the Disneyland Park part of that, shut at 8, but you had the Disney Dream Show that finished about 8:35. So, you know what I mean? It's a lot earlier. when you think about before, it's like 10, half 10 by the time the drone show's finished, something like that, and then 11, half 11 by the time the Disney Dream show's finished. You know, you're losing um about like you're losing about 3 hours in the Walt Disney Studios, 'cause 7 to 8, 9, and 10, you know, you're losing like 3 hours there. And excuse me, and then you're losing about 4 hours in the other park. 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 4 hours. See, so you're losing 3 hours in one park, 4 hours in the other, and then half an hour. So in total, if you think about it, I mean, you can't be in both studios at once, but if we take the longest time in the evening, you're losing 4 hours in the evening, half an hour. So it's 5.5 hours in the park you're losing. Now, I stayed there for 4 nights and 5 days, but it wasn't even a full day. It was only a few hours. And the reason for this is one of my Eurostar, the Eurostar is due to go on. It was actually cancelled. Therefore, I had to get an earlier train to get an earlier Eurostar, which was just really, really bad, because when I went in May last year, I didn't leave the park till much later, because my train was 6 something PM in the evening, I believe. And so therefore I didn't leave the park till like 4:45, something like that. Whereas this time around, the Eurostar and the train, basically I had to catch the train to the Eurostar to go back this time, whereas before it's just straight through Eurostar there and a Eurostar back when I went last year. Now, I thought this was because of the winter timetable, but apparently it's not. Apparently, the travel agents told me it's a new thing where they're not doing any direct route into Disneyland Paris by Eurostar and back, so you have to catch the SNCF train. Now, this was a pain in the butt. So I had to catch the Eurostar going there from London St Pancras to Lille in France, and then change at Lille to go on an SCNF train to Disneyland Paris itself. Excuse me. So it was really, really bad with all the traveling. I have to say, it was just very, very stressful having to go on the Eurostar, then having to catch a train the rest of the way. And then on the way back, it was horrendous. The Eurostar, well, first of all, it was SNCF train out of Disneyland Paris. So the good thing about that is you don't have your passport checked at Disneyland Paris itself. You have to have it checked at Lille. So you don't have to go straight. You don't have to spend I was going to say straight from the rides into the Disneyland Paris train terminal. You don't have to go as early, because you're catching an NCNF train rather than a Eurostar from Disneyland Paris to Lille. But then from Lille to the UK, you've then got to do passports and customs, right? But you get less time overall, because like I said, my train back to the UK, well, back to Lille, then from Lille to the UK, it was meant in the winter in May, it was 6 something, and then it was meant to be 3 something, but that one was cancelled, so I had to go 12:51 in the afternoon. So I got my magic hour in. So I was in the park just before 8:30 AM, and I done all my packing, got my luggage. The luggage service I paid for extra so that it can send my luggage to the actual train place, so I don't have to go and get my luggage back from the hotel. So I did get a good few hours in, but it's just like having to lose 3 hours on the train that was cancelled, and more because usually I'll be going at 6 from the train, which give me at least 4 more hours. Well, 3 more hours till 4, if you like, 4 something. It was basically I lost 3 or 3.5 hours in the park, going back as well. So if you times 5, what do we say? 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11. That's 4 hours. Then you've got then it's 4.5 hours basically times 5. Then you know the time, well, times the 4.5 times the 4 days I was there, if you like, that I lost out on. But then I didn't get there in the morning, so it's like 4 hours I missed out on for 4 days basically, plus like an hour and a half, and then another 3 hours. Add all that together, and all those hours are what I missed in the park compared to when I went to May last year. So my holiday was a lot cheaper. It was like about 300 or 400 pounds cheaper than when I booked to go in May last year. But then I understood why, because you're getting a lot less time in the park, which was super annoying. So I would say definitely go in the summer months if you have the opportunity. Pay more money and go in the summer months, because it seems that the summer is much better for the park in general because it's open longer. There was a discrepancy on the app between when the last shuttle bus goes back and what it actually said at the bus stops. Because the bus stops, they had like big posters saying the last shuttle bus back to the hotel, the free shuttle bus, was 11:30, but when you go in the Disneyland Paris app, it said it was 11 p.m. So, like, which do you believe? So I had to make sure I was there for 11 p.m. or earlier every night. And that's quite hard if you want to go into the Disney Village and look at shops and go and get something to eat and stuff like that. I was always getting something to eat. So because I was in the parks for less time because they shut earlier, I found myself like finding it harder to eat because I would have one meal during the ride time, if you like, and then the rest of the time when the park shut, and I'd watch a Disney Dream Show about 8:35, between 8:35 and 9. Then I would go and get something to eat. So I wasn't losing more ride time, because had I ate twice in the park during the ride time, I would have missed another hour out of ride time, if you know what I mean, because it takes about an hour by the time you've got in the restaurant, showed you the food, had waiter service or waitress service. Do you know what I mean? So that's really not good. It was hard to balance eating, because it's like I don't want to just snack all day because I'm really, really hungry and need a proper meal, but then I don't want to lose my ride time. Sometimes it can be longer than an hour you're out having a meal for, you know what I mean? When I had to go to the Rainforest Cafe every time. Now, the Rainforest Cafe, I have to say, was amazing. The staff there, both managers I had, was incredible. Female, she remembered me from last time. A manager I don't think I've seen before, called Emmanuel. He was absolutely incredibly great. Got all my foods, my special dietary requirements. There was vegetables that I ate on the first day, and they did start making my tummy funny and not so good. And I said to him that I think they either had butter in or milk, because I'm lactose intolerant. I know it wasn't great for my tummy. And he's like, yeah, they have garlic butter in the vegetables. So that's why you would have had the problem, because I'm dairy intolerant and lactose intolerant. So I had to change that. So in the end, they made this beautiful salad up for me instead. Well, actually, the woman manager was the one who suggested that. And then the male manager carried that on when he was in attendance. But he was very, very quick off the mark. And there was one time that he said, "Oh," I said, "You in the next day?" And he said, "No, I'm not into. I am in, but not till later. So be later than you come." So I waited as long as I could to have some food that day, and then he showed up an hour earlier on his shift, and he opened the door, and I was behind him going through the door nearly at the same time. And I said, "I didn't think you were here for an hour." He said, "No, I came in earlier to eat something before I start my shift." And so even though he wasn't working yet, he told the other staff what I needed to have, because in the end I was having jacket potato, rice, chicken breast, but I was having this special salad. When I say special, it's made up of different components of different meals. So it's lettuce leaves, red cabbage, carrot, and there was 2 other ingredients: nuts, which was pecan nuts, and I can't remember the other ingredients. Um, Pecan nuts, carrots, red cabbage, lettuce leaves, and there was one other thing. You'll have to watch my shorts videos to see what it was about. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was really delicious food. I was really impressed. I was really pleased. I was really happy. And, you know, the salad just made it better for me to eat there because then I wasn't getting rubbish, you know. I was actually having good, proper, wholesome food into my body. And I wasn't having any allergic reaction to it, basically all tummy problems. Sometimes the pecans would be a bit difficult for my tummy, even though I'm not allergic to nuts. I think it's because I had quite a lot of them. But other than that, it was all great. And fresh orange juice sometimes, not always the other. And I said, what's happening to animals? Because sometimes they weren't moving. They're like robotic animals. They were just making noises. So they made sure that the one nearest me was making noises like 2 days later. I'm like, they're supposed, you know, move, not just making noises, sorry, moving as well. So going in the winter months, I definitely recommend not to go in the winter months and go in the summer months because I just think getting the extra ride time is really important unless you don't need that. But I personally think it's better in summer. I have to say, overall, I thought that last year's was better in terms of the accommodation. So what happened with the accommodation is I went into the Hotel Santa Fe again, not in the same block, but a different block. And it made me laugh to myself because the block I was in is called Meta, which is it's a Cars. It's based on the animation Cars, right? It had Cars wallpaper. Now, mate means to have sex. And I'm like thinking this is so opposite to me. Like, so I don't want to mate. Do you know what I mean? And this is all about mating. It's not, it's the name of the car, Mater, you know, could be someone's mate, but also mate means sex. And so I just thought, oh my God. Every time I looked at it, it says mater. I just felt like I'm not interested in sex, and I felt like that's what it was saying, even though it's based on an animation cartoon thing. So anyway, when I first got there, there was a guy who helped me with my luggage, but he was moaning, saying I'm on the first floor. I said, well, I didn't. I thought I told reception that I got disabilities and that could I have somewhere near reception? And this is what they gave me. He's like, oh, well, you should have said ground floor and you should have booked this up before you came and you should have told them you want a ground floor. You should have told the travel agent, blah, blah. I don't even think I can do that. I don't think the travel agent gets to pick what room I'm in downstairs. But, you know, if they, for next time, then I'll know that. Although I can't see my going back anytime soon because the traveling was horrendous. Catching Eurostar to catch a train, then back catching a train to catch a Eurostar was a real pain in the butt. Because when I came back from Disneyland Paris, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Disneyland Paris itself in a minute. But when I came back from Disneyland Paris, there was nowhere to put my luggage. It was too full, and there's nowhere to put my case. My holder I could have fit somewhere, but nowhere to put but I couldn't fit my case. And so therefore I was lumbered with all my luggage. So I couldn't go and sit in the seat I reserved. And I had to stand up with my luggage for part of the way. And there was me like wasn't happy. And then there was these other people that weren't happy as well, families with kids, because they had nowhere to store their luggage as well. There's luggage racks are small for the amount of passengers. They got too small. And it was horrendous. And also on the way back, I had these 3 foreign guys start talking to me saying, oh, is this all your luggage? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, are you alone? And I'm like, yeah. And it was getting really, really weird and freaky. This is on the way home on the SCNF train to go to the Eurostar, change a little for the Eurostar. And I didn't understand what these guys were asking me. I thought this is really weird. I feel really uncomfortable with guys asking me about my belongings and if I'm alone or not. And then behind these 3 guys, there's walked 2 women, and they all had these orange armbands, and I didn't really understand it. And then I saw one of them had a gun, so I presume they were police, but they should have introduced themselves as police, and they didn't. So to me, there was just these 3 strange guys turn up wanting to know if I was a woman alone, and these were my possessions. And it's just like creepy because I didn't know who they were, and I thought, God, are they gonna like attack me or something? Because there's 3 of them, and they're asking me if I'm alone. And it's really weird because I ended up because there was nowhere to put my luggage, and then a woman did move. She went off the train, and opposite the luggage was this one where she was sat with this one tiny table with 2 chairs, and she wedged her luggage around these chairs, especially around one of them. So when she left, I basically took that table and those chairs, and I put my suitcase in front of the chair because there was nowhere to put it on the rack. So that's when they came, and these 3 guys started coming across talking to me, but they never introduced themselves as police. And, so I didn't know who the hell they were. I just thought there were 3 men trying to, like, gang up on me or something in the train, and I was a lone woman, and it's, like, really rude and risky. Do you know what I mean? You feel like you're gonna be attacked or something. It's horrible. And I think there must have been police. I think one of them had an armband saying Nord on it, Nord. So I don't know if they're trained police or full police. But when I saw the woman had a gun in a holster, behind when she was one of the women behind these 3 guys, I just thought they must be police. But it was really freaky and quite scary, that. But getting back to Disneyland Paris itself, so there was less time in the park. And going back to the Disney Hotel Santa Fe, the guy was complaining because he was helping me up with my luggage up the stairs that I got a room up the stairs, but that wasn't my fault. Do you know what I mean? So, but he was basically saying that I should have told the travel agent to make sure this didn't happen. I wasn't aware the travel agent could pick a room at Disneyland Paris. I thought Disney picked it for you. But yeah, I'll have to see if I can request a ground floor one next time. But he went the longer way round to this place, as far as I can tell, because she drew it on the map. The receptionist drew it on the map for me. And when I tried to leave the place after to go to reception after he had put my luggage in and everything, when I needed to, like, go out of there, I noticed that it was a lot easier than the route he went. There was 2 easier routes. So I just feel he went all around the houses, really. But it might have just been because I just, like, arrived and I wasn't sure of my bearings, if you know what I mean. But he seemed to take a longer route than actually was needed. Anyway, so at the Hotel Santa Fe, I have to say the service was not as good as last year either. And I think that's because of the winter months, because the water was really quite cold. It took ages and ages to warm up. I'm saying quite a few minutes to warm up. And it wasn't a proper shower. It was a hose. One of those hoses that's like attached to the bath and put up. So it's like a hose with a head on it, shower head on it. It was one of them. And it took ages for the water to warm up. It was really, really cold the majority of the time for a long time. And then when it finally did heat up and I put it in the middle to stabilize the temperature, it'd be like kind of hot for a while and then it would just go cold again. And it shouldn't do that if you stabilize the temperature. If you've put it at a certain setting, it should stay that way, but it didn't. And then it would go cold, then, like I said, it would go cold again. And it was really just hard to have a shower. It's really cold. And then when it did get really heated, finally, the condensation, the steam would go up to the ceiling and it would literally drip off the ceiling like drops, because it was like a weird textured ceiling and it would all drop. And so after your shower, when you were sat on the toilet, the drops would drip down on you and the toilet roll would get wet through because the drips are dripping off the ceiling. It was absolutely awful. And there was gaps in the curtains in the bedroom. The heating was quite low when it was on, and it's on. It seems like they control it. You don't have any control of the heating. So by the time you wake up, it's gone cold pretty much. It's only, it doesn't seem to be on anymore. It's only warm late when you first get there. So that was really disappointing. And every night I kind of had some problem. I had problems with the hot water. They did get the maintenance guy out. He fitted a new shower head, but there was not much he did about the temperature. I don't know if he could do anything about the temperature. I was thinking he could, but then I thought no, because it's not an actual proper shower. So because I was thinking it'd be like a thermostat problem, but it wasn't an actual shower. Anyway, he fitted a new hose, which was more powerful, but it still fluctuated in temperature. You still had the problem with the ceiling and stuff like that. And then the second to last night, the cleaners took my soap and didn't replace it. And they didn't empty one of the bins, and the bins are supposed to be emptied every day because you say if you want you basically put your towels in the bath for them to change the towels. And they didn't leave me enough toilet roll. I had to go and ask for more toilet roll and stuff like that. But I just despaired a bit with the room, to be honest. I'm like, this is not good. compared to when I stayed last year, which wasn't a problem. I'm only guessing that because it was summer months that the water felt hotter anyway. But I just don't remember having these problems. I mean, I think obviously in summer you're not going to get the condensation on the ceiling either, but it was just appalling. And it's like, why am I going to reception to ask them for soap? Because the cleaners haven't even replaced it. And so the reception at that point gave me extra soap. They gave me 2 soaps, well, they actually gave me 3. 1 I used and 2 in this cup. And then when I came the next night, when I came back from the park, the cleaners had taken 1 of those soaps to just leave me 1 for 1 more night. It's like, oh my lord, do you begrudge me some soap or something? It's just really strange. And so I didn't think the accommodation was up to standard like it usually is. I was disappointed with the fact that park was closing early every night, and that just made it not as good as last year. And I was really peed off with the fact I had to catch 2 methods of transport there and back. And when coming back, there was basically nowhere to put your luggage for at least part of the journey, and it was just a nightmare. The getting on and off trains and Eurostars and just having to get all your bags again. It was just not very nice, you can't really settle. It's very stressful. And other people said the same thing. So I don't see me going again in winter, although I have thought in the past I'd like to go at Christmas, because I love to be in a Disneyland Paris in Christmas, but it's really put me off going to any winter type of thing there ever again, because it's just so not up to standard, if you know what I mean, that I would like, which was a shame. The actual park itself was amazing. The magic hour was amazing, even though it was later. They didn't have all the rides open in the magic hour though. So one time I went to a certain place, Frontierland it was, and it was like pretty much all closed. They weren't doing anything in the magic hour there, which, just wasted time when you've walked over there and like the 3 main rides there, just all closed. You're like thinking to yourself, well, what's the point in having the magic hour there then? Like why are some of them closed? Why don't they open all of them for the magic hour? It seemed a bit pointless to me doing that, because they had attendees, they had people stood there, but they weren't doing anything. They're like, oh, we don't know when it's opening. And it's like, they didn't even say it's after the magic hour. They just go, oh, we don't know when it's opening. So that wasn't so good either. But the actual rides, when I did get on them, were amazing and incredible. I really loved them. The magic of Disney was still really strong in wintertime. There seemed a lot more people that were romantic in winter compared to summer, which is unusual. I thought there was a lot more people I saw holding hands. So in the summer, I barely saw anyone. I probably saw a couple of couples holding hands, whereas in the winter, I saw a number of people holding hands, which I thought was nicer. Maybe it's to keep their hands warm, I don't know. But it's sometimes more of an effort to hold someone else's hand in winter when you could put your hand in your own pocket. So I thought that was quite sweet. I was really happy I got to see the Lion King show. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the Lion King, and I saw the Lion King musical in London. But I have to say the Disneyland Paris version of the Lion King, even though it's a condensed version, was so much better than the musical in London. The cast was better. The acrobatics was amazing. The costumes were better. Everything was better. And so I filmed that for this channel. If you haven't already seen that, go and watch it. It's really good. It's an amazing show. But I also watched it a second time just for myself because there's so much going on. Unfortunately, for some reason, ever since I've had my Samsung A10 phone, I cannot put it in landscape mode usually to video. It has to be in portrait. It just won't allow me to do it. It just always goes to portrait or just won't let me go live in landscape. It's a pain in the ass. Even though I'm meant to have changed the settings, it's supposed to do it. It doesn't. So I have to film it in portrait. But actually, at the Lion King itself, there's a lot going on with acrobatics, both sides, and there's a lot to take in. So it would have been better if I could have filmed it in landscape, but it was just impossible for me to do that. And so I wanted to record it in portrait for you rather than you miss it. I've still got footage to upload from my Disneyland Paris trip, including Disneyland Paris and I was going to say Oxford. I don't know why I said Oxford, because Oxford was in October. I mean, my Disneyland Paris trip and also my stay in London as well. Thank you for the heart. So I still got some shorts to do that. I've been trying to get it back into doing some work. I've seen my best friend earlier, um, so, I've had to do that, and I'm just getting back into things slowly. Been a bit tired because I've been doing so much cleaning in my place, because before I went away, obviously I had Christmas, then I went to Wishmas, and my dad was in hospital. And so my place was in a bit of chaos before I ever went away. And then it's taken ages to clear the stuff up. I actually bought a nightshirt for myself as well, which I forgot to tell you. Um, in the video I did about my gifts to myself, I forgot I actually bought a nightshirt because it was in the wash. So I completely forgot about it. It's like I think, is it a Minnie Mouse one? I think it's a Minnie Mouse one, yeah. And it's like the mornings when they're doing multiple tasking at the same time. So I got that. So, so there are quite a lot of things that I wouldn't particularly like in winter compared to summer there. I think summer's much better in Disneyland Paris. They still had the bonus of the fact that I got disabilities. So long as you can provide evidence that you're on disability benefits, which I am on, I'm very open about that. I've only got one of those benefits for 2 years, which ends this October, so I don't know what happens after that. But I'm very open about that. So I have got fibromyalgia and anxiety. So I had to prove that I was on some disability benefits. I am self-employed author as well. And that, that entitled me to get a disability pass, which last time I went in May last year, I didn't realize till the second day I was there. I already had that information this time. So I went straight there to City Hall and got this pass, which allows me to get on rides a lot quicker. It gives you premium access, a premier access it's called. But that doesn't necessarily mean to say you instantly get on rides. Have different levels of premier access. So you have different colors depending on your disability. So someone who's on green disability like me is not as a priority as someone who's on, I think, a pink, or is it an orange? I know it's a pink, I think. So, it depends what level disabilities you have as to what priority you have. Once, when I went last year, I actually got given a higher priority card, but I lost the card. I think it was when the drone show was on. So the next time I had to go back and get another disability card. It was on the green instead. But when you're on, I think it was pink I had originally, you're literally fast tracked even more. Then you're like, you've got to come to the front of the queue, your top priority. So they do prioritize people, but it's nice to have a disability card because I tend to go to the toilet a lot because of my disabilities. And so I miss quite a lot of ride time going to the toilet. So it kind of evens itself out that some of the time that I would have to wait to go to I'd be constantly going backwards and forwards to the toilet. That wastes quite a lot of time for me. That time is made up by the fact I can get on the rides quicker, the majority of the time. So yeah, pretty much all the time you could say, but sometimes, the rides haven't got, if they're magic hour, they haven't got many people waiting for the rides anyway, so other people can get on quicker, and single riders can get on really quick. Like when I went on one of the rides at one point, which was the Avengers rides, I got told that a single ride can get in quicker than the people that have got a disability pass. So I went in the single riders for that particular thing. I'm not actually sure that's true. It didn't really look by the end of it that it was. It looked like the disability queue was a lot quicker than the single riders queue. But I'm glad I went in that because I got to see Iron Man, the real life size Iron Man moving, which you didn't get to see in the disability queue. So I thought, well, that's quite a stroke of luck, or fate as it happens, you know what I mean? Because I'm very intuitive, so I'm guided by my intuition. So it's kind of like, because the guy goes, oh, because I said like I'm a single rider and I got disabilities, because on certain rides, single riders get in quicker, much quicker. Like the ride, if you go on your own, that's a benefit of being single and going to Disneyland Paris on your own as a single person. You can get on rides, you don't have to have disabilities, you can get on single riders rides. There's only a certain amount of rides in Disneyland that actually are single riders. For example, Ratatouille is you got a single riders queue. So whereas people are queuing like 45 minutes, you can get on if you're a single rider within 5 minutes without a disability pass. So there's like three, for Ratatouille, there's 3 queues. One is single riders. Well, one is premium riders, which is premier riders, like disabilities. Then you got the single riders, then you got the normal couple riders or more than one person riders, so you got 3 like different queues. But even whether it's in summer or winter, they were the same. You could say that there's less people in winter, so therefore the summer months better, but I actually found there's just as many people, I thought, in winter as summer, which I found strange. There was tons and tons of people. Like the ride queues for if you're going more than one person at a time and you've not got disabilities, the ride queues were as long as they were in the summer. Some of them were like 45 minutes long, the queue. So you would have thought going in winter, there's less people that go in winter. Therefore, you can get on more rides quicker. But I didn't find that's the case for people who don't have disabilities and who are not single riders. I just thought that it's exactly the same as it was in summer. I didn't see any difference. It was really, really busy there. For the time of year it was, considering it was winter and it was wet and it was raining some of the time, I thought it was hugely busy. Do you know what I mean? The buses that you could, so I had the shuttle bus from Santa Fe to go into Disneyland Paris because Hotel Santa Fe is a Disneyland Paris resort, was absolutely packed. I mean, we're packed like sardines, especially on the last day, the Friday. No, not Friday, Saturday that I was there. That was the busiest day. I mean, we had two buses come. One came from to Disneyland Santa Fe Hotel, collected a load of us, not me, because I couldn't get on that bus, and I was in the second lot. And it was huge. There was massive queues, tons of people. And so I personally didn't think there was less people in the winter than there was in the summer, which would make sense there'd be less people in winter, but it didn't come across that way at all. To me, it came across as there was just as many people there in winter as there was in summer. Maybe there was less waiting for the characters because you can meet some of the characters. So I think the queues were less for them. But for my mind, there was no difference. It was packed. There was people everywhere. It was like hugely busy. The queues were mostly long for if you've not got disabilities and you're not a single rider, they were really long, you know? And so I felt very blessed that I, did get a disability card. I don't know where to say disability is a blessing, but I mean, it is one blessing to have a disability if you're in a place like Disneyland Paris, because you can get a disability pass, right? There's some silver lining in it, but it's not easy having disabilities. From a disability point of view, it's very difficult. The journey, the traveling was really, really hard. Changing train to Eurostar and back again is just awful. It was really a nightmare. I had a lot of luggage on me. You get no help. You can book people to help you if you've got disabilities, but if your luggage is more than 15 kilograms, then they won't help you. They refuse to help you, so you can't get any extra help. So I found that really difficult. When I came to get my train back, actually from London to Exeter, I had about 10 minutes to spare. It was really bad because I was staying at the Premier in Hammersmith, and I did go back to the Disney store to get a Marvel top. This is in London after I'd finished at Disneyland. This was 2 days later. And when I went back to Premier Inn, there was a person complaining about the room, and there was only one person on reception. There was two people before me, and I was waiting, but I had to get my luggage. And so the woman was saying stuff about her room being not serviced and things like that. So he was like, oh, the guy on reception said, oh, I'll go and do something now about it then. And he went to walk off, and I said, excuse me, can I get my luggage, please? Because my train leaves to go back to my city and I need to get it. And because I was late waiting in the queue, bear in mind, I'm supposed to leave on the 10:03 train from Paddington, and I'm still in Hammersmith. And the Hammersmith train going back to Paddington, I missed the first one because I didn't get there quick enough because I've been queuing up for my luggage. So I had to wait till about 9:30, and it took a quarter of an hour to get there. So literally, by the time I got to the train station, I had just 10 minutes to spare, if you like. It was a nightmare. I've never been that close to getting on the train and nearly missing it. It was horrendous. The train back was nice. I ended up sitting on a table with an Indian guy, actually. He's not interested in relationship type of stuff, but it was nice to talk to him. He's actually a manager of Domino's Pizza in a place, in the UK. And so it was nice to talk to him. And then I met, after he'd left, I met an Indian person who has friends in my city and was staying in my city. And then she works in a town not far from where I live. So that was really nice. She's really nice to talk to. She's a really nice, kind person. So I like talking to both those people. They were really good. Hello, if either of them are watching. I don't think the guy will be because he didn't ask my channel, but the Indian girl, she's really nice. She subscribed to this channel. She seemed really interested, bless her. So she's a really nice person. So I ended up getting off the train with her and stuff. You know, but going back to Disneyland Paris, the rides were amazing. The Rainforest Cafe staff were incredible. I would highly recommend if you go to Disneyland Paris to definitely go to the Rainforest Cafe. They're really good with special dietary requirements. If you've got dietary requirements to go to Disneyland Paris, it is a frigging nightmare. I took a lot of things with me this time. I took rice cakes and tuna to have for breakfast. And the reason I did this was because before, when I took soy milks and rice puffs, the soy milks were so heavy in my suitcase that it caused me a lot of problems trying to maneuver my case, and it was rolling everywhere. So this time, because the tunas, they were like the drain tunas in plastic pots. They were with tin foil, with like foil over them, so they're sealed. They were a lot better. And I looked at the Eurostar, what you're allowed to take on board. So long as like you've got tins of stuff that's sealed like that, you can take them on the Eurostar to France with you. So I made sure it was all sealed and everything. And I had like tuna with on rice cakes, which was great for breakfast because I can't have the breakfast in Disneyland Paris because I've got special dietary requirements. I also made sure I had mango pieces, the dried mango pieces. I had 3 packets of them a day because last time I went in May last year, there was a huge lack of fruit. You could, apart from getting fruit juice in the Rainforest Cafe, I couldn't get any fruit. Although it did say mango in one of the places, but I couldn't even get any. It was like either shut or they didn't have any. And so this time I took that with me. So it took up quite a lot of space in my like hold all. And then I transferred some to my suitcase later on. So it was big and bulky to take with me, but it was not as bad as taking the soy milks before. And it allowed me to have better quality food over there. It allowed me to feel like I was having healthy snacks over there, you know, which really did pay off. So that was really, really good. So make sure you can take the food if you go, you know, obviously make sure your passport's up to date as well. If you live in the UK, I don't know if you know, but you have to make sure your passport's in date by at least 6 months or more. So even if like say you booked to go to Disneyland Paris and your passport expired in April, and you like you were going like this month in February, it wouldn't be good enough because you have to have 6 months at least left on your passport if you live in the UK. You otherwise it becomes out of date. It's really weird. So instead of going out of date actually when it's meant to go out of date, like in April, say that that's a date, and you went in February, you think it's fine. February, March, April, it's well in date, but they don't class it as that in the UK anymore. They would class it as basically expired because it's or not valid because it's not got 6 months or more left on it. It's really weird the way they work it. Anyway, in Disneyland Paris, they've got different lands. They've got Adventureland, Fantasyland, Frontierland. I think they've got 2 others as well. And so you can basically go to the different lands on different days. That's what I decided to do. I wanted to go to the Walt Disney Studios first because that's where the Avengers campus is. That's where the Spider-Man ride is, and they are some awesome rides. And then around the corner from there, you can go to another land, which I think is fantasy. I'm not sure if it's Fantasyland or Adventureland. I got those 2 mixed up a bit. I could look on the map because I've brought a map home with me, but basically there's Ratatouille there and the cars. The cars were so much fun. When you went on them, they span around like waltzes. I've actually got a shorts video of me on the cars. I think it's either shorts or live stream. I think it's a shorts video. But I'm on the cars video and you were with me on the cars spinning around. So make sure you watch that video because it's really good fun. I'm actually on the cars and you can say like take a spin with me in the car or something. It's really good fun. I really love that. Crusher's Coast is really good. Being single, when you go on the rides on your own, they end up pairing you with someone else. So if you don't like being sat next to someone, know that you will be put with someone usually in things like roller coasters. You won't be put with someone on every ride. So when I was on the Cars ride, I was just on my own. But when you're in a roller coaster, they won't leave usually a seat next to you. You'll end up being with someone else. So I was ended up being with someone else 3 different times. And more than 3 different times, but the 3 stood out for me were the 3 guys that stood out for me. Actually, one of them, the last guy I was sat next to that I recall, he was actually of Indian blood, because I said to him, "Oh, are you Indian?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm from South Africa, but I have got a Indian blood in me." I'm like, "Oh, right, okay." But he was the least friendly, actually. Like, when he went off, I said, "Oh, I hope you have a nice day," and he just vanished. It's like he didn't even want to speak to me anymore. Whereas the other 2 guys, at different times I was with, they were very chatty. They were very friendly. One, as soon as I got on Crusher's coaster, he's there holding his hand out for me to shake it. I didn't shake it straight away because I was too busy trying to get into the ride. And then I shook his hand and said, "Nice to meet you." And he was really, really friendly. You know, he was a bit older. He was just really friendly, going, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And then I was with another guy at a different time, and the ride broke down, but at the very end on the Runaway Mine Train, which is Indiana Jones. Is it Indiana Jones? No, Indiana Jones and Temple of Perils, an actual roller coaster. This was what's it? Thunder Mountain. Sorry, this is Thunder Mountain. And it broke down. The roller coaster broke down after, luckily, not on the loops. No, that doesn't loop. Indiana Jones loops. I think Indiana Jones did that break down as well? I'm trying to remember now which one broke down. Because I know they both broke down, but one of them broke down with us on it. It might have been Indiana Jones, actually, because I think it was on Indiana Jones. And I said to him, "It was a good job it didn't break down when it was looping. It broke down at the very end." So it was Indiana Jones and Temple of Peril that broke down. But the other one, Thunder Mountain, did break down, but not while I was on it. It's Indiana Jones that broke down, but it was like the last bit before we got into the actual station part. And he was chatty. He was saying that he's visited different countries, and he only came there in the morning with I think it was a friend, and he was telling me all the different countries he visited. But he was really nice to talk to. He's really friendly. And it was a case of, got to get back to my mate now, but it was like really nice. And he was saying, "Oh, I was in Germany like yesterday. I was in somewhere else." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I can't keep up with all your traveling." So he was really friendly. So that was really nice. So even though the weather was bad some of the time, people were very still friendly. I felt the Disney magic still. I still felt like everyone was enjoying themselves. Everyone was experiencing the Disney magic. Everyone was like having fun there. I mean, some people look a bit down because of the weather, but the majority of the time, it all felt like it was fun and enjoyable, and people were wanting to be there. And that's what I love about Disneyland Paris. It's so magical. It's so amazing. I found it hard actually adjusting when I've come back to not being on the go all the time, because literally when you're there, from the moment you wake up, like I was waking up at 6 a.m., it's like have a shower, get ready, eat breakfast, go there, go on the shuttle bus, and you get there, then you're constantly in the park. You're going from one park to another park, you're walking to different lands. By the time I'd spent all the days there, I've been to every land. I've been on pretty much all the rides I wanted to go on. I hadn't been on every single ride, but I've been on all the rides I wanted to go on multiple times usually, and it was just really good. I really enjoyed my time there. It's very magical whatever time of year you go in. But I'd highly recommend, if you do go, to go in the summer, because I do think the summer's a lot better. Spring, summer is a lot better than winter in terms of the accommodation. I thought the accommodation was a freaking nightmare, to be honest. It did spoil some of my enjoyment there, as I was constantly having problems. I mean, like lack of hot water, like cold room, you know what I mean? It's just like, in the end, I end up pulling, because it was 2 double beds in the Hotel Santa Fe. I end up pulling the duvet off the other bed onto my bed over the top of me to keep me warm. And it's like, you can't control the heating. Like, it's different when I went back to London, and even before, when I went to London, when I went before Disneyland Paris, I was staying in a Premier Inn. Premier Inns are amazing. I love them. Very comfy beds. You can adjust the temperature yourself if you want, but it's nice heating, full heated shower. When I came back and I was in Hammersmith Premier Inn, I actually thought the Hammersmith Premier Inn was far superior to the Disneyland Paris Hotel Santa Fe. And that's a shame saying that. I feel like ashamed that I have to say that, because I feel like Disneyland Paris, because you pay quite a lot of money to go there, it's supposed to be magical and wonderful, that everything should be really good about it. And it was last time I went, but the hotel this time was not good. The service there was not good by comparison, and I ended up like going to sleep later because there was problems all the time, which I wasn't expecting. It was disappointing. It didn't spoil my enjoyment actually out in the park itself. It just spoiled my enjoyment of like having a peaceful night's sleep and a good night's sleep. I didn't get much good night's sleep there because it just wasn't good for me. Whereas when I was in Hammersmith Premier Inn, my God, that hotel's amazing. I mean, it felt really luxurious. It felt like my Oxford Oxford University Premier Inn. I say it was Oxford University Premier Inn. I should say when I went to speak at Oxford University for Blue Talks, the Premier Inn within Oxford City Centre there was amazing. It was luxurious and gorgeous. And I think the Hammersmith one in London was equally as nice. And the Hammersmith one, Premier Inn, was directly on a main road, but it was that well soundproof that you could barely hear any noise whatsoever. It's so comfy. I got a really good night's sleep, wonderful heating, beautiful shower, felt luxurious, lovely, friendly staff, it was just so good. So I was disappointed about the Hotel Santa Fe over there. I felt like, I wanted to go every year to Disneyland Paris. I wanted to be able to have enough money in my ideal scenario to be able to pay to go to Disneyland Paris once a year. But having had a bad experience of the hotel this time, the traveling nightmare, which was very stressful for me, I don't really want to be doing that again anytime soon. I'd like to go on, if it went, I'd like to go in the summer again if I did go. Well, I will probably one day obviously go back. I really do like it there, but I'm thinking maybe not in the short term foreseeable future, maybe in the long term. But it's expensive. It isn't, it was cheaper this time to go, but I missed a lot of ride time out as a consequence of going in the winter. And also, I spend a lot of money on food that I take over there. I mean, the food I took over was really expensive. Those bags of mango, I said, they're like £2. The cheapest is usually £2.90 or £2.60. They're on offer at £2.10, but I got like over 20 bags of them. You can imagine how much money that's costing me. It's costing me a hell of a lot of money. And then I'm getting tunas that are fridge pots, no drain ones, that are in plastic containers, and they are like £5 or £4.50 if they're on offer for like 3 of them. And I'm having to have like basically up to 2 per day of those for like 9 days, 8 or 9 days. It's a lot of money, so I'm paying a lot more money for food on top. I brought a bit more money back this time for my trip to Disneyland Paris, still buying myself tons of gifts while I'm over there and staying in an extra night there. So I did well. It was only £8 more I brought back, but you know what I mean? I asked for a better exchange rate though than they were originally offering me at the travel agents, and I ended up getting an extra £5. I did a shorts video about that on my Make Money Make Cash channel, because I didn't realize you could ask for a better exchange rate when you go and change your foreign currency. You can say, can you do any better than that? So that was really good. So I got more money back. So yeah, I would recommend going to Disneyland Paris because it is really good, but I prefer it if they would do the Eurostar again direct, which apparently they're not doing again. And I've just seen that it seems like another company's taken over Eurostar, so I don't know if that's why they've changed what they're doing. I thought it was just because it's winter, but I went in the travel agent since, and they said no, they're permanently not doing a direct train to Disneyland Paris, a direct Eurostar anymore. You have to use the SNCF train, which is just a frigging nightmare. Like I said, when I came back, there's nowhere to put my luggage for a while. I had to stand up with it. I mean, it's just not on, really, is it? It's just not good. And it's very stressful to try and know what platform things are on and stuff like that. So I preferred going last year. Last year was better overall, but the actual experience of the park was the actual ride time that I got less, which was not good, but the actual time I was riding and going on things was just as good as in May, even though it was wet. Some of the time, the people were nice, the staff were friendly, the place was magical. The parade I got to see as well, even though it's winter, the parade was still amazing. The atmosphere is really good. The shops are great. Everything's just beautiful there. I do miss that. I miss when I'm back in the UK because I'm an extrovert. I miss being around people. It's really weird being back in the UK and like having all that holiday and then being back at home, being quite like I'm an extrovert, but I'm living kind of like more solitary life. Like I've seen my best friend earlier a few hours ago, so that's amazing. But other than that, I don't really see many people. I see people, I talk on here, but I don't see that many people in person. So it's a bit more like I live like a hermit, And it's very different contrast because years ago I had huge social anxiety. I couldn't stand to be around groups of people. I could only be one to one with people. I didn't feel comfortable in other people's company. I felt very anxious and nervous. I didn't feel like I could be around people very much, especially strangers. I felt so bad. And it's hard to think that way now, but I remember what it was like. It was really difficult for me. And now I'm completely different. I mean, the way I've changed myself is huge, huge leaps. I mean, now I'm sat on Star Tours, right? Star Tours is a Star Wars ride. It's amazing. It's a simulator, always packed, right? Always fun, filled ride, and it's packed with people, right? And I just sat next to strangers. I just feel so comfortable in their company. To me it's just natural. I belong around people, whereas years ago around people I felt lonely and left out. Even if it was in a room full of people, I felt lonely, left out, isolated, didn't want to be there, felt like I wasn't meant to be there. Everything felt awful. I hated it. I didn't like my life or myself years ago, and I didn't like being around people. Like, I was so like just felt uncomfortable and like I didn't fit in. I wasn't meant to be there, right? Was now I'm just the opposite. I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. I'm sat around strangers that are all having a great time. They've all got joy in their hearts. They're all loving it. Disneyland Paris is such a magical experience, and it's that I do love going for, because you've got all the outside world where there's a lot of like attacks and a lot of bad things happening on the news and stuff, which I don't watch, but I keep getting stuff flashing my news feed on my phone. Like, I've got a Samsung phone and I've got all notifications for my social media, and then every so often there's like a weather alert, severe weather alert, or someone's been attacked somewhere, and it's like I don't really want to know about who's being attacked. I mean, when I was in London, it's like, oh, someone got run over by a bus in Victoria and died. I mean, it's like I'm in London and it's not very far away. I've had to go through Victoria some of the time. It's like I don't want to be knowing about this stuff. You know what I mean? Um, but in Disneyland Paris, it's such a magical experience because everyone's like singing from the same hymn sheet. They're all there to have fun and enjoy themselves. They're all there to love the magic of Disney, and it doesn't matter what gender they are. Like, anything goes. Like, like if you see people in everyday on the street, you wouldn't get many guys wearing like fluffy ears, would you? And stuff like that. It wouldn't be cool or macho or whatever. But when you're in Disneyland Paris, you get all these guys. You get some guys like, they're all wearing fluffy ears and things. Not all of them, but quite a lot of them are wearing fluffy ears. So women might wear Mickey Mouse ears or something, and the guys will be wearing like fluffy monster ears or something, or they'll be wearing, but they do wear Disney stuff as well. They're wearing fluffy ears and, all Disney tops, and it's all like kid stuff they're wearing. And it's just like a completely different world. It's like when you go there, it's like a beautiful world where everyone's having fun and enjoying themselves. Everyone's like, some people obviously getting stressed at the rides because some like one on Terror Tower, and that's quite difficult ride to go on. I hate horror, so that is hard for me to go on, but I make myself go on it because it is a really good ride, but it is quite terrifying. But there's a lot of people that can't do that ride. I mean, I'm shocked that I can do it, really, but there's a lot of people who probably would watch horror or do watch horror, and they can't, they hate it. They try it and they just can't do it again. There's been a lot of adults that just can't do that ride again, as well as kids. So last time I went on there, when I was in the park, there was this really young kid with its mum, and she's just like, she just ended up crying at the end, saying, and mum's like, you don't want to go on that ever again, and she's like, no, because it's that terrifying. So it is quite hard, that ride. It's quite hardcore, but it is a very good ride. I couldn't do that if it was outdoors because it drops down. You're in like a tower block, in a elevator, in a great big cage thing, and you literally drop, and then you go up, and then you drop again. You go up and you drop, and It's like, oh my God. And they put an extra drop in it this time because some person said to me, oh, they've changed this to last time, haven't they? Got an extra drop now. I'm like, yeah, they got an extra drop, and they actually they actually show you the outside twice as well. So you go kind of like see the outside completely of the theme park. So they open the windows, so you're really high up, and they close them again, and then you drop down and you see a little bit of the park. They don't open the doors fully then. So, but they do have more drops than they used to. So it is like more scary, if you know what I mean. And they go up higher. And also in the Terror Tower, I didn't realize there's another floor where you have to climb a lot of stairs to go up to a high level elevator. And I actually got to do that this time. And obviously when you're dropping from there, you're dropping from a greater height. So it's even more weird because you're like right up here and then all of a sudden you're right down there. But it is really, really good. But I just absolutely love the fact that everyone's there having fun. It's such a contrast to the outside world where you've got a lot of murder, death, rapes and tax and all this lot going on and a lot of negativity. And you go to Disneyland Paris and obviously you've got like guys mustn't wear this, mustn't look like a sissy, mustn't like, got to be Mr. Cool and everything. Whereas you go there and it's like, no, women, men, whatever gender, they're all wearing the fluffy ears. They're all wearing like Mickey Mouse stuff. They're all like, like everyone's just like fun kids. Hi, Heather. I like watching kids shows. Oh, love you, Heather. Nice to see you. Yeah, I loved it too. It's really good. It's really nice. I think it's so comfortable when you're around people who are doing the exact kind of same things as you, and they're not caring about, not caring about what people think. I got really surprised because when I was in one of the restaurants, it wasn't the Rainforest Cafe actually, because at that time it was fully booked. So I had to go to another restaurant, like a steakhouse, beef eater type place. But I had chicken, I didn't have that. And there was like people on another table and they looked more like business people. And it was really funny. And they were all sat around this table, and then all of a sudden he puts his furry like hat on with the ears to keep his head warm. And it just looks so funny. Oh, how is my dad? My dad is out of hospital now, thanks, Heather, but on permanent oxygen. So yeah, he's back home with my mum, but he's on oxygen, looks like for life right now, probably forever. So he's got oxygen upstairs and oxygen downstairs. Thank you for asking. Yeah. So it's kind of a lifestyle change for them, really, a bit. So yeah. But he can still use a car on a special oxygen tank for up to 4 hours. But yeah, permanent oxygen's quite hardcore, I think. But at least he's alive, and he seems to be sleeping better because he's got oxygen now and more mobile than he was before. So there are some upsides to it, but it just has to wear a oxygen mask all the time. He has to wear a special one at night, which is more hardcore. So yeah. So he came out of hospital on the Friday, and I got back in the early hours of Tuesday. So I was quite shocked that he was out actually, because he thought he was going to stay in longer than that. But it's good he's out. It's good he's with my mum, and it's good he's set up at home now, upstairs and downstairs with oxygen stuff. So yeah, but being on permanent oxygen, I don't think it's the greatest thing in the world, rely on that. He can breathe a little bit without it, but then his slips start going purple. And so he can't get proper oxygen levels without it. He really needs it to live, if you know what I mean, live and be alive. But he can, like he can take it off for a little bit of a time and still be alive, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's very serious, really. You can't, having that all the time, very serious. But yeah, thank you for asking. So I tried not to worry about my dad while I was away, because I knew that he was in the best place possible and there's nothing I could do to help him. Unfortunately, I thought, go and enjoy your holiday, because I was burnt out by the end of last year and I need it for my own health and well-being. And it's a good job, really, because obviously my dad's out of hospital now anyway, and so he's had all the care he can have up to. He's gonna have someone come check on him, I think, in a few weeks' time to see how he's getting on. But my mum's good at looking after him anyway. She's giving him extra looking after now and doing more stuff for him. So yeah. So I think, it was really good for me to go to Disneyland Paris. I'm glad to hear. Thank you, Heather. I really appreciate that. Yeah. So yeah, I spoke to him on the phone with his mask on. He's still very chatty. So He said he doesn't feel that poorly, even though he clearly is in that way. But yeah, so I haven't even told my parents how my holiday went yet. But my dad watches this channel sometimes, or he did do. He's not been able to since he's been sick. But yeah, so I got lots of gifts for myself. If you haven't already seen the live stream I did the other day, go and watch it. I got 5 notebooks for myself in Disneyland Paris. I got 3 placemats. I got 3 bed throws, 1 huge beach towel that looks the size of a bed throw. I got a like rucksack, which is like a bag. I also got a Marvel hold doll as well. I brought back 2 photographs of me going to Shrek Adventureland, which was I went to before I went to Disneyland Paris. I got a night shirt, which I completely forgot about that I've washed. So yeah, I got a lot of gifts from Disneyland Paris. I still brought back money. So I was really happy with that. I think that, like because I didn't have breakfast there and because I brought a lot of my own foods, that did cut down on the amount of money I spent on food, I guess, over there, whereas other people would be spending more money on foods. But obviously I spent a lot more UK money going there with the amount of food money I spent. So yeah, and I also got a Marvel hoodie, but that was from Oxford Street, London, Disney store, which is really nice. It's one of their new ones. So yeah, I just really love Disneyland Paris. I love the whole atmosphere. I find it very difficult now I'm back to not be going to do stuff every day like I was there. I actually you do quite a lot of walking there because you're walking from one land to another land, from one place to another place. You're actually doing quite a lot of exercise and having fun at the same time. The second to last day I was there was this woman she originally lived in London actually, but moved to Ireland, and she had her 2 children. She was with them. She was asking me like what rides, because she's saying it's so complicated. She found it hard to understand what rides were where and what to do. So I was helping her, and I told her about the Star Tours one. It's a Star Wars ride, but it's called Star Tours, the simulator, and you go on different adventures and in space, and you're in like a simulator, so you're all going like this in the simulator. It's really cool. And I told her about it, and the next day I saw her. She said she was only there 2 days, but the information I told her was really helpful, and the kids loved that ride. And she said it's really good. She said because she said, oh, I don't think 2 days here is enough, and I'm like, no, it's not, because I went for 4 nights 5 days this time, which was better in terms of, I think it was better to have a bit longer there. So that was an advantage of going in winter, I guess. I got an extra night for a cheaper than I would have done in summer. So the whole holiday was cheaper than I paid for when I went in the summer. But then you got less ride time, you know what I mean? But it was a benefit of going in the winter is less, is more nights for less money. But the travel was a nightmare as well. And also, I was worried about the weather before I went, because there was a lot of severe weather warnings in the UK the week before I went, and people thought it was going to snow. I've got my snowman on now because apparently parts of the UK, I think it's Scotland, is snowing at the moment. They keep threatening snow in lots of different places, or saying there is, but there isn't. I got this for Christmas. My parents, I thought it's quite warm, so I thought I'll put it on. It's a nice colour on me actually. So yeah, like one of the problems going winter is the weather, because you're battling the elements, and like it's okay if you can get there, but if the weather's so bad that there's train cancellation. There's also train strikes in the UK, but the train strikes didn't affect me, luckily, because I came back on the 29th. I left London but arrived back on the 30th. The train strikes themselves were on the 30th. So in the UK, you have different train strikes throughout the year, and they just tell you like 1 or 2 weeks before, basically. Like, oh, there's train strikes now. I think I got told 2 weeks before. And my mum told me. She's like, oh, I think it's when you're coming back. But it's not so bad if you're already back in the UK anyway. You know what I mean? But it is a pain in the ass. But the weather before then, to the beginning of January, when I went to Wishmas, for example, in London, was horrendous. I mean, my train was cancelled then completely, and I had to get taxi. It took like over 4 hours, about 5 hours to get back to my city, with 2 roads blocked from the flooding, another blocked from partly by flooding and a hit and run. and the guy had to go through horrendous weather just to get us back down country lanes, which is really dangerous. So, you know what I mean? Like going in winter again, you've got all the worry of, am I going to even be able to get on the train, get to London, to get on the Eurostar to go there, you know? So again, in the summer, I think it's much better to go because you haven't got all the problems of the severe weather then as well. So if I was you and you were choosing whether to go in summer or winter, I would much prefer and tell you to go in the summer months, the spring summer months, you know. Like I went in May last year and that's fine. I've been in April before and that's fine. But going in January, I think it's a frigging nightmare travel wise and you know, like the hotel wise and the weather and stuff. I just think it adds a lot more extra stress that is not really needed. And so that did put me off the actual whole trip, but not actually being there in Disneyland Paris. When I think about now, I feel have just such warm, fluffy, beautiful memories, and it's like I'm still there in part. My mind's still there, you know. But then I know that there was a lot of issues with the traveling. It was so stressful for me, and so I don't see myself going again next year. But it's hard because now I'm back here, I want to go again. But when I was like coming back, I'm like, oh, I just can't be doing this again. It's way too stressful. Maybe I should just go traveling in the UK for a change and go to stay in London itself because that seems much easier and you know, and do some stuff up there for a change. But you know, I do love Disneyland Paris. When I'm there, I'm all right. It's getting there and getting back that's a problem. But actually being in Disneyland Paris is wonderful. As soon as you're like there, your luggage taken to the hotel, you can just relax and then have fun all the time. And you know, you just can enjoy yourself and have a total blast and be in comfortable company, you know, and you meet some just you know, like you meet some wonderful people. I don't really talk to that many people, but it's just being around people is just so nice, you know. Lots of people are just so happy there and excitable and, you know, in awe of the rides, and it's just a great atmosphere. It's like having paradise in the middle of like the world crisis, if you know what I mean. It's like you take yourself out to another world. It's absolutely beautiful. And so I would highly recommend going to Disneyland Paris still, even though I had some difficulties this time. But I would say if you can, unless it's a money issue for you and you really need to save hundreds of pounds, which is why it's better to go in winter, but it's a lot more stressful. I recommend going in the summer months because I just think it's nicer then and it just you know the whole experience overall with everything is better in the summer. I don't think there's much difference in terms of like rides. There was rides that tended to break down a bit more than when I went before, but I don't know if that's because of weather or it's just because they're old rides, you know, and they need updating and more maintenance done on them. But in terms of the amount of people going there, they didn't seem any less than the summer, really. They just have tons of people. It's packed. So, you know, I didn't really see any difference in that respect. Maybe they do, but I didn't. And I just, you know, I just thought it's a beautiful place to go. I loved it. I still got some more video footage because the Wi-Fi was an issue in the end in the park. So I didn't realize I was there 5 days. By the third day, I didn't realize that I switched my Wi-Fi on. I forgot that I was on. And so I end up nearly using all the Wi-Fi. I shouldn't say Wi-Fi, internet allowance on my phone, the data allowance. So I thought I had the Wi-Fi on from the park on the third day, but actually I switched it over at one time to use data off my own phone. I forgot that I was still doing that. And so now it's using up nearly all of my data. I've only got a tiny bit which doesn't reset till the 15th of February. And I have to keep that tiny bit for emergencies in case I need to get on the internet. So I only have 2 gigabytes a month. I've used 9.7 something is or nearly 9.8 gigabytes. So I've only got like 100 or 200 megabytes left, which isn't much at all. It's mostly just you can use it for messaging and browsing. You start uploading stuff and you'll use it just like that. So I had to take some videos on my phone. So I've still got videos on my phone from Disneyland Paris to put to upload here. I've still got videos from when I was in London to upload here. So you've still got quite a lot of shorts videos to come and videos in general. So I will be posting some of them soon. I've had a lot to do when I got back, so it's been quite manic for me, really. And I would just say definitely go in summer if you got the chance, or spring is okay too. But I think the winter months are a lot more difficult in terms of the weather, the accommodation in Disneyland, and the transportation. So I hope you've enjoyed this review anyway. The things I would look out for is if you do have any disabilities, I'd make sure you go to City Hall to prove that you got disabilities, and then get a disability rail pass, because that does help a lot. If you're a single rider, look out for certain rides that do have single rider sign on them, which means you can get on them far quicker as a single rider. There's quite a few: Ratatouille, Crushers Coaster, I think Spider-Man as well. That has single rider on it. So, if you are single rider, some people are naughty. They're a couple and they split up into single people, pretending they're a single rider. But sometimes you end up with the person, but the danger of that is many times you can end up in a different part of the ride to the other person. So you really do end up splitting up with them anyway, in order to do the single rider stuff. And you could still be waiting for the other person for a while, because if you're on a roller coaster and you've been allocated a seat and the other person's still waiting to get on that roller coaster, then you could still end up waiting for that person a while. So although you're cutting time down probably in the single riders queue, you could still be waiting for some time for the other person to get on. So you're still hanging around for them anyway. So I think it's a bit naughty of people to do that, but they do it. But they still had some like huts out as well, which were in like the shape of Christmas parcels. So although Christmas is gone, you could still see a little bit of Christmas there. They were huts near Ratatouille where they were selling waffles and things like that. There was quite a lot of stalls that you could buy stuff like that. I can't eat stuff like that. I did have popcorn one day. I really wanted popcorn, but I didn't have it till the second to last day. So that was really nice. If you've got a rucksack or bag or anything, you need to make sure that it's tied somehow at the top. And a lot of the time I put my foot through the bag so that it wouldn't, like, if you go on a roller coaster upside down, it's not going to end up falling off, if you know what I mean. Although if you got the bag positioned right with the top folded over or pulled together, and the ride thing comes down over your head and actually crushes the bag towards you anyway, then you shouldn't move anyway. But otherwise, I had to put my foot through the handle of the bag. And then it makes it much harder to get off the roller coaster. Because if you're in a very tiny roller coaster seat with the headgear, when you put the headgear down, if you put your foot through the bag first, the loop in the bag first, you put your headgear down. Then when you come off, you've got to lift your headgear up, and you've still got the rucksack on your back, and it's literally in and out. So if you didn't already know, they'll set up with Disneyland Paris. Once you finish your ride, as soon as you finish your ride, they get you out and the other person straight into your seat. This is how it works. It's super fast. You don't have time to basically barely blink, and so as soon as the riders come to a stop, the next person is waiting to get into your seat. So you've literally got to lift the headgear up quickly and get out as soon as possible, because the other person wants to move across to that seat. It's that quick. Some people might not like that. It might find it quite anxiety inducing. When you go on Star Tours, for example, the Star Wars ride there as well, you have to go across in rows of seats. It's like a spaceship. And they allocate you beforehand which row you're in, like 3, 4, or 5. They'll tell you where to go. And then when the doors open, you then have to walk along, and then you have to go in the spaceship, board the spaceship and sit down. But the people that have just had their ride in the spaceship, when the doors open, they're still there getting out and moving out. So you're like moving in as they're moving out. So it's like really weird. It's like, like out, in. And so you always kind of like, you're not really focused on the people moving out. You're focused on getting into the next seat as soon as possible. But you have to wait sometimes for the other people to get out. So you're like, either as soon as you finish the ride, you've got to quickly get out, or you've got to quickly get on there when the other person's just finished. It's really weird that way. You know what I mean? It's very, very, very fast. So if you're not used to a fast-paced thing, you probably wouldn't like that bit, because it's very bang in, bang out, in the roller coaster, finished up, out, finished up, out, next person in, you know. And it's like this, it's like next person, go there, go there, go there. So it's very, very fast. I mean, me personally, I'm an extrovert and I love fast I love fast things, hustle bustle, music, lights, camera, action. I like energy, I like doing things, and so it's perfect for me there because it really matches my energy. Like, because there's music constantly playing around Disneyland Paris. There's waterfall stuff, like water shooting up with different lights, colored lights from different places in the park. There's constant rides, there's constant like get in, get out, get a ride, get another ride, go to here, busy, busy, busy. And most of the time you're on the go all the time, and so it really matches my personality there, because it's energetic, bubbly, like it's kind of like vibrant, like go here, go there. It does give you a workout as well because you're constantly walking backwards and forwards from one ride to another. I mean, sometimes you go on the rides multiple times if like you've got a disability pass or you're a single rider, then you can go around quicker. So Ratatouille is my favorite ride, really. I thought last year that maybe one of the other rides is more my favorite, like the Spider-Man, and that comes quite close, but I do still love Ratatouille. So I'd like go around on that. Like you have to come out again and then go around again back in the queue 3 times in a row because I just love it. Actually, I went for the 4th time on the last time I went. I did a shorts video about that. Like, oh, I'm going on the Ratatouille ride for the last time. It was the 3rd time. I was really sad. And I'm like, okay, I've just done it a 4th time because it was too sad to leave it at 3. So I had to do a 4th. But it's really, I love Ratatouille. It's a 4D ride. So basically you're on like this, you're like in a Ratmobile. It's really cute. And then you go around and you've got these 3D glasses on, then you're seeing the chef. And then the Ratatouille, the rat ends up speaking to Gusto, the chef, saying, what am I going to make? What am I going to make? And then he falls through the window of the roof and ends up in the kitchen. And of course, they're not supposed to have rats in the kitchen. So the guy who's the guy who's friends with Ratatouille in the Ratatouille movie, he's trying to get the Ratatouille and his friends who are eating all the produce out of the kitchen before like the boss sees him. The boss sees him, so the boss is trying to chase after the rat and the other rats. And you end up with your car spinning around. You end up with being under an oven where the flames are going and blowing you. When you end up in the kitchen, you end up going around and you see the rats are eating in the cellar. The rats are eating blancmange. You can smell the blancmange. When you're in the kitchen, you can smell the spices in the kitchen. So it's a 4D. It's all sensors. When you've got different sounds and smells that you can basically taste in your mouth. And at one point, this one rat pops a cork, and then depending on what Ratmobile you've gone in, if you like, is whether you can feel the spray of the cork. So when the cork pops off, the like champagne or whatever sprays in your face. It's only like water sprays in your face. So I absolutely adore stuff like that, which is 4D, where it's got the whole experience of all the senses and stuff like that and all the smells. It's really unique and it's a beautiful story and it's just a pleasant ride and it's just really, really good. I like the ending where the rats are like playing on some of them are playing musical instruments and they're all eating food and they're going and there's one little rat at the end and it's jumping up and down waving like this going it's really cute. And so I love that a lot. The Spider-Man ride is really good. I did kill loads of spider bots and my highest score was 230,000, which is really good for me. I was really pleased about that. That's a very good score, but it's not as good as some other people. Some other people's amazing, but it's good for me. So yeah, you have to basically, the spider bots are replicating themselves. So you have to help Spider-Man to kill the spider bots before they take over everywhere. So that's really good fun. The only ride I don't feel that safe on is the actual Avengers ride. It's a high speed roller coaster, but I always feel like I'm coming out of it, like when you have the headgear and you push back, there's always, I feel like, a gap between the headgear and you. And so when I end up going on the roller coaster, you do end up going upside down. Like you feel like you're about to fall out a bit because it feels like there's too big a gap between you and the bit holding you in. There's no seatbelt, so it's just headgear. So obviously if the headgear ever flipped up, you'd end up splattered and dead most likely, unless you could actually hold the headgear like in properly. But obviously the force of the gravity of the speed at which it pushes you back in your seat, does hold you into a certain amount of extent anyway. But I personally feel the least safe on that. So it's my least, I like it because it's an Avengers ride, but it's my least favorite in terms of safety. I just feel like I'm not properly, totally fixed in there. Whereas other roller coaster rides, I feel like, I'm good, I'm fixed, I'm sound, I'm safe. Now that one, it puts me off going on it as much, to be honest. They got nice shops as well around Disneyland, plenty of places you can go and buy stuff. Um, I don't think they've got as much selection sometimes as they used to have. I got a Disneyland Paris clock, for example. Didn't see any clocks there. But I got some good stuff. Really, I got all the gifts for myself that I wanted to give myself, so that's nice. It's quite hard carrying them all back actually and packing them all up. It took me ages to get some of the stuff packed into my hold all. But it's worth it. I'm really glad I went. I do feel refreshed. I do feel revived and revigorated. I do feel like relaxed a lot more. I really needed a holiday. It is harder because I'm having to get back into work mode now, but I'm trying to do it slowly because my place has been an absolute mess. My flat, I've done a lot of tidying and cleaning and washing. I'm still working through my bags of washing since going away. So that's kind of like harder at the moment. But I'm getting through a lot. My best friend, when they came earlier, they cleaned all my shower up for me, which is really helpful. I need a good clean because I get the chemical stuff gets on my chest and I start getting respiratory problems. So they came and did it. Although I've got a different chemical thing now that's not as bad, as harsh, and that seems to work a lot easier. So they were using that. So bless them, which is really sweet of them. But yeah, so it's a bit weird because I'm used to being around people so much now. I'm used to going out every day. I'm used to having rides. I'm used to being, so to come back to the UK and to actually be at home now where I'm not around many people. I'm at home all the time. It's like, where's all the people? I feel comfortable being in the company of people. Like, and now I'm just on my own again. Like, I'm fine about being on my own. But when I was in Disneyland Paris, I was on my own nearly the whole time. But I had people around me, if you know what I mean. So I was never totally alone. And years ago, I was trying to explain to you I had really bad social anxiety, that even if I was in groups of people, I would feel so lonely and left out and isolated and like not right being there. But now I'm the opposite. Now I feel I'm meant to be around people, like I'm comfortable, especially in a place like Disneyland Paris, because everyone's just wanting to have fun and enjoy themselves and experience the magic and wonder of Disney. And it kind of bonds you like a huge type of community there. It like bonds you a bit, you know what I mean? You've got something majorly in common with the people. It's everyone singing from the same hymn sheet, everyone's on the same wavelength there, you know what I mean? And you feel like united in that sense. That's what I feel anyway from going there. So I would, highly recommend going to Disneyland Paris. I do think it's a wonderful, tremendous experience. I think obviously you have to be the type of person who enjoys Disney and who loves that type of stuff and who likes, being a big kid, if you like, and who loves rides and who loves the wonder and magic of Disney. I think you have to be that type of person, otherwise you wouldn't enjoy it. If you don't like being around a lot of people and strangers, and you don't like sitting next to strangers, you're not going to enjoy it because you're just going to be like feeling weird. But if you like being around people, even if you don't talk to hardly anyone and you're comfortable next to people, relatively comfortable, you should be fine. And if you want some magic and you just want to take yourself off to another world, but in a real sense, it's like really, really amazing. What I love about Disneyland Paris as well is it does bring fairy tales to reality. All the kind of things you see on sets, like the different type of like saloons and shops and stuff are really there. Their shop fronts aren't just shop fronts, they're real shops. And so it's literally like you walk out of a movie set and it's happening in real life. There's real people dressed as real characters of Frozen. Frozen comes to life. There's a proper full-size Iron Man that's moving like Iron Man. It's amazing. In Pirates of the Caribbean, there's a dummy. There's like a robotic model, if you like, of Johnny Depp from Pirates of the Caribbean. Very, very realistic, moving, doing hand movements and stuff. In the Spider-Man ride, you've got actual the guy who plays Spider-Man talking to you. So again, that's quite realistic. But when you're going to the main street, you're going to the village and all the shops, the shops are like something out of a movie you'd see, but they are real shops, you know, with real people dressed in real outfits. You know what I mean? It's like it brings fairy tales to reality and makes them real. And that's what I love. I'm the type of person that loves making things happen in real life. I always prefer reality to fiction. I prefer non-fiction to fiction. But I believe that the majority of fiction can be a reality if you want to make it so. And obviously, with Disneyland Paris, it makes dreams a reality. It turns fiction into non-fiction, if you like. It makes the things you see in movies actually happen. And I love that. I love being able to be part of that because it's something I hugely believe in. I don't believe anything is impossible, really. I believe everything you can believe you can achieve in some way, shape, or form, but you've got to have willing participants. But obviously, when you're in Disneyland Paris, everyone's there usually as a willing participant, or you'd like to think they are, you know? And so everyone's participating, everyone's bringing fairy tales to reality, and everyone's enjoying that, and everyone's loving it, and everyone wants to do that, and everyone's participating, you know? I often think, like, when they're like, oh, you can't have like the fairy tale romance, I'm like thinking, well, why not? Yes, sure, I can't have it at the moment, only with myself, because I can't control someone else, and I would never want to. But if I find a guy that likes the same type of romantic stuff as me, that wants to bring you know, the Disney magic to reality, then there's absolutely no reason why I can't have the romantic dream in reality. You know, if people see like movies that are romantic and they think, oh, like a horse-drawn carriage is romantic, you know, then you can hire a horse-drawn carriage. If people think, oh, well, I want to live in a castle, you can live in a castle, you know, you can rent a castle out or something. You know what I'm saying? There's most things are possible if you want to make them so, but you have to have willing participants. And when you're at Disneyland Paris, you're around thousands of people that want to participate and do the same thing and want to make dreams a reality. That we, by actually actively participating in that, we're making dreams a reality as a collective unit, as a collective species, a collective community there. You know what I'm saying? So I just find that amazing. I find it so fascinating that you can take something that's out of a movie and make it a reality, and loads of people just take part in it. I just love it. I absolutely love it. And when I forget about the traveling problems and stuff like that, and the room wasn't up to par like it was last time, I just think, oh, I wish I was back there again now, and I wish I could go on there. But when you're there and like you're getting quite stressed about the traveling situation, then I think, oh, I just want the traveling to be over, you know. But then if the traveling's over, then it means the Disneyland trip's over. So it's hard. But I hope they get a Disneyland Paris in the UK, really. So I thought Disney was coming to the UK, but apparently it's Universal Studios that's due to probably come to the UK into Bedford. They've got planning permission, or they're getting planning permission to do Universal Studios in Bedfordshire in the UK. But usually Universal Studios has Disneyland Paris incorporated with it, next to it. So thanks for the hearts, lots of love. So I'm hoping that they get both, really, because I'd absolutely love it if they got Disneyland Paris as well as Universal Studios in the UK, because I think we need it. It'd be great because I'd have far less traveling, you know what I mean? And why shouldn't there be a Disney in the UK? But at the moment, I got it mixed up because I thought it was Disneyland, but it's Universal Studios that's meant to be coming to Bedfordshire. I pray really they get both of them, because that would make my life a lot easier to just be able to have the transport in the UK and be able to go there. Saying that, oh wow, Universal Studios in the UK would be incredible. Yeah, it's meant to be at Bedfordshire. I don't know if I can get up on the internet. I can't show you because this screen won't share, but I'm just going to type it in, so you're going to hear me typing Bedfordshire Universal Studios. You're going to hear me typing because this is a live stream. Yeah, Sky News. So 24th of December. So this is potential. So this was on Sky News, 24th of December, so Christmas Eve last year, 2023 UK. Universal Studios writes to residents about potential theme park in Bedford. Universal has told residents living near the site it has bought in Bedford that it would work closely with local communities if the plan for a theme park goes ahead. Universal Studios has written to residents about plans to build its first UK theme park in Bedfordshire. Universal Destinations and Experiences, which is owned by US company Comcast, wrote to people living near the site after confirming it had bought land near Bedford. It said the company was in the very early stages of exploring a potential park, adding that while it owns the land, it may be many months before we decide whether to proceed with the project. John Reynolds from the company's external affairs said Universal had a strong track record of working together with local communities as we consider any new project. Engaging with the local community in Bedford, Kempton, Hardwick, Stuart B, Wixham's, Wootton, and elsewhere will be no different, he added. He said Universal had been encouraged by the positive nature of conversations with stakeholders, including Bedford Borough Council and the town's mayor. We plan to work closely with our local community should we progress, he added. So, yeah, it doesn't say other universal destinations around the world create thousands of jobs and generate significant positive economic impact, he said. Universal has been expanding aggressively since the pandemic with fresh attractions at its long popular US and Japanese destinations, a whole new park in Beijing in 2021 and another in Florida in 2025. Universal has launched a website to keep Bedfordshire residents updated with the progress of plans. There is still a long way to go, and we may not have any more information to share in the near term, Mr. Reynolds added. The Bedford site is 45 minutes from London and easily accessible from Luton Airport. I mean, that would be absolutely amazing if that happened. I really hope it goes ahead because I really hope they get Disneyland Paris at the same time. It doesn't say anything about Disneyland Paris, so I really wanted Disneyland Paris in the UK. I'll be so happy because I wouldn't have to travel to France and because I love the Disneyland Paris thing. That the rides are the best, I believe, in any theme park. They're the best because I don't like heights, but the majority of the roller coasters in Disneyland Paris are really high. They're indoors, so I can do them. Whereas if I go to some theme parks in the UK, I just can't do them because they're too high because they're outdoors and I can see the height. Whereas if they're indoors and they go high and upside down, they're in the dark. I feel a lot safer because they're contained and I can't see the actual height because it's in the dark. So I feel like I can go on a lot more rides, and I just love the Disney magic. But at the moment, it only says about Universal Studios in Bedford, and it says proposed, it doesn't say anything. It says about might go ahead, a potential theme park, but I think it'd be good for the UK. We need more good theme parks in the UK, really. I definitely think it would be good to get Universal Studios here. It'd be just good to get any theme parks like that type of thing over here. I think the more we can have stuff like that, the more we can have people attracted to the UK in general as well. So that would be good. I'm hoping they eventually get a Disney in UK. I'd love it, but doesn't look like that come anytime soon. It's really difficult because I wish they would do a direct Eurostar again through to Disneyland Paris. It was so much better, but it doesn't seem like it's on the cards at the moment. So yeah, I wish they'd change that back. But I still love Disneyland Paris. I still would want to go again, but I have been put off by the traveling and the hotel in the winter as well. So not put off forever going back, just put off for a little while of like the transport is like, oh my god, have to psych myself up to that again. I think maybe I should spend some more time in the UK going to different places, but it's not as good as Disneyland Paris. But maybe I should go to like London and go to theme parks there or from there or something. I haven't been to Chessington for ages actually, and I have to usually stay in London for that and then travel to on the South Chessington train. So I might do that at some point because I do love Chessington. It's my favorite theme park in the UK, I think. I like Breen theme park, which is not too far from me as well, but it's more like a fun fair / theme park that. So I can go on the rides there as well. So I usually go there for like my birthday and stuff like that. So I might visit there again this year, but I didn't actually get to go out many places last year because I was sick quite a lot. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be a bit different this year. But yeah, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I think it's been very exciting going to Disneyland Paris. I will post the rest of the videos from my holiday from Disneyland and from London. And I hope you enjoy it because I've got photographs as well of London Eye and stuff like that when I was on the Westminster Bridge and stuff like that. So yeah, but I just ran out of like internet allowance on my phone. I've got a tiny little bit left that I'd have to use for emergencies. We're talking megabytes. And so that I had to record them on my phone. My phone memory is getting pretty, my actual phone hard drive part of my phone's getting pretty clogged up now with stuff. Pretty shocker, but I'll be posting all this stuff soon for you, so look out for that. And in the meantime, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for those who've already given it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share this video if you want to inspire someone to go to Disneyland Paris, or you want someone to know the differences between winter and summer in Disneyland Paris. Thank you so much for the beautiful hearts. I love you lots. Thanks for your support. Thanks to Heather and Sana, I believe that says. It's been great to have you in chat. I look forward to the next live stream video. And also posting other videos. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. I'll see you soon in the next video live stream. Lots of love. And thanks to all of you who support this channel over the years, because it's gone over 705,000 views now. 705,000 views is a lot. So we're on target for like 1 million now. So views, that is. So yeah, I can't wait for that. And lots of love. Take care. I'll see you soon. And don't forget to get a copy of Asexual Perspectives if you haven't already. This is a best seller book on Amazon. Lots of love. Take care. Bye.